Welcome to the Hungaroring in Hungary for round 12 of the Formula 1 season. To be honest, this isn't one of my best tracks. I barely knew how to drive this without the racing line when we went into free practice 1, but here we are. I am up to speed now. Hopefully we'll do good in qualifying. Hopefully we can achieve some good lap times, but first, weight redistribution that failed last time is on the car. The fuel consumption upgrade that was supposed to be on the car this time has failed. I don't understand what's going wrong with Haas. They just keep failing upgrades, even the minor ones, which probably shouldn't be that hard to pass. I think they all have the same failure difficulty rate, to be honest. But regardless, we still have one upgrade going in. We're still ahead of the racing point on the R&D chart, so we're going to jump right into our first flying lap here. So here we are in Q1. My first flying lap was really scruffy, to say the least. Not a great time, as you'll see as we cross the line here. It's going to only be a 119.2. Good for P8 at the beginning of the session, but as we jump to the end here, you'll see that we fall all the way down to P19. I'm about a half second up, 0.6 up on my previous lap here. I run a bit wide on the final turn, but fortunately that doesn't cost me too much time. Even if it gained me a little time near the end. Move up to P12. It's pretty dangerous, especially since I wasn't the last one to cross the line, but as we go to the results screen, you'll see that I finished in P15 there, just making it into Q2. 118.5, so we did make it into the 18s, but as you'll see, Roman Grosjean completely destroyed me, 0.7 up on my time, pretty much. 117.8. I don't know how he went so fast in Q1, because I was feeling like I could put as fast as I could push it if I trip over my words anymore. But 117.8 or whatever it was is going to be the time to beat here in Q2. First flying lap, a 119.0. That was on a used set of tires from Q1, so I wasn't expecting that to be fast. It's just to bank your time, so I can see where I'm at. We are in P14 at the end of the session here. About 0.8 up on my previous best time to be expected, because this is a new set. We are nearly a second up on our time. Crossing the line, P9. Just making it through into Q3, fortunately. But that's at the cost of Roman Grosjean, who we completely got mauled by in Q1. We eliminate in Q2. I don't know what was up with that. He did improve on his previous time, but we improved quite a bit more. We are 0.2 up ahead of him, so hopefully we can take advantage of this Q3 appearance. He might actually be in a better spot than we are, considering that the free choice of tire might be very beneficial around Spain. My only lap here in Q3 was a bit scruffy. You can see I'm losing the back end just a bit coming out of the slow mid-speed right-hander. I go wide around the penultimate corner there, but ultimately it was a clean lap aside from those two mistakes, and I probably didn't lose too much time during those mistakes anyway. Across the line here, at the line in Q3, what's it going to be? P8. Wasn't P7 like I was hoping for. That definitely means somebody from the midfield beat us. And it turns out it's Lucas Weber who beat us by just about 1/10 of a second there. We did clear Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault by about another 1/10. And Lando Norris falling way behind his teammate in the other McLaren there. I don't know what happened to him, but hopefully we can make something happen in the race. We can hopefully get Lucas Weber at the start, keep him back there, and get P7 for the best of the rest. And maybe we can even hope to get P6 to fulfill our contract objective, which I'm not really expecting too much, but hopefully we can get it.
We've seen some astonishing Grand Prix here over the years, haven't we? The drama of 2015 is a recent example. Jenson Button's first win on a wet track in 2006, or in 1997, Damon Hill's heartbreak in the Arrows after a late gearbox failure cost him what would have been the team's only ever victory. What a wonderful place this is to come racing today. We're northeast of Budapest for the race today at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Butler, Vettel, Charles Leclerc and Faber, Bird, Ricciardo, Grosjean and Lance Stroll. Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Raikkonen, Nico Hülkenberg and Perez. Russell, Kvyat, Antonio Giovinazzi and Pierre Gasly. Kubica and Lando Norris starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
We managed to qualify better than we expected yesterday, so let's do the same again today.
So it looks like it's going to be a one-stop soft to hard tires. So that means that everybody's going to be on a one-stop strategy, even the people with free choice of tires, but they're going to be starting on the mediums so they have better tire wear throughout, which is going to be a tough factor to try to deal with in the race for us, because near the end of both of our stints, we're going to be a bit low on tire wear and might be falling back into the midfielders behind us that start on the medium tires. But we are going to underfuel the car by a whole lap. They say this circuit is Monaco without the walls, so I'm going to treat it like Monaco, underfueling it, because we don't need a lot of power. We can afford to burn some on straights, but then save for the rest of the lap here. As we jump to the 5 red lights, starting in P7 right behind Lucas Weber, our F2 teammate, and away we go. It's not a bad start. We get a good start, but we are still going to get mobbed behind. Weber comes over, cuts us off. We get squeezed to the outside of the turn. We kind of take a little bit too wide of a turn, turn 1, and can't believe how many times I said turn in the past 3 seconds. But Ricciardo's going to get us, and we are going to fall down the P8. Verstappen is battling us for P8 now. We run a bit wide. He kind of squeezes us off onto the runoff. I want to say runaway, but we managed to keep P8. We fall down in position, so it's not the greatest, though. As you can see, we jump to the next lap. We are still stuck behind Ricciardo. Like Monaco, this Hungary is not a great overtaking circuit, but we're gonna have to make do here. The best spots are to overtake at the DRS zones. Let's let the straight line speed do the work. We are the second best engine on the grid. We would have been the best engine if we had that minor come through, but it wouldn't have increased our engine power. So we still have some good straight line speed compared to the rest of the field. We let Verstappen through here because he's just way faster. Maybe we can use his slipstream and DRS once that becomes available to get through, but we do lock up going into the penultimate corner, and that allows Verstappen to get away and puts us right on the clutches of our teammate Roman Grosjean, who's right behind us. Lap 3 DRS enabled. Grosjean goes flying by without DRS. The detection point is behind the line, so it's not enabled for this lap, but he still gets by. I'm worried that my soft tires are already going off. It's lap 3, and everybody behind me is on the medium tires, so this might be an uphill battle to try to get a good result here. Cutting to the end of lap 3, we'll have DRS on Roman Grosjean, and he won't, because Max Verstappen, I think, is the next car off, is way too far ahead for him to get it. But here we go. We turn the engine up quite a bit, make a late braking effort into turn 1. Lose the rear end a bit coming out of the turn, and Grosjean just gets a better exit, and he will move ahead of us and keep his position P9. Unfortunately, we will have to wait another lap because we won't have another overtaking zone until the start-finish straight, which is unfortunate. But you can see I'm actually a lot faster than Grosjean. Maybe not a lot faster, but just enough in some of the more important corners to warrant me being in front of him. But Grosjean's not one to give up position to his teammate. So we're gonna have to forcibly take it from him. Lap 5, we are a bit farther back, so we're gonna just brake a little bit earlier, keep right behind Grosjean, and get a better exit down the second DRS straight here. And as we go to the inside, we're gonna brake at the 50-meter mark, and I realized why you don't do that. It's a sweeping left-hander, not a hard braking zone. We are going to collide with Grosjean. I don't know if he breaks his front wing or not, but we managed to keep the position. It's a bit dirty, but Lance Stroll gets in front of him. I kind of feel bad. I'm sorry, Grosjean, but we were holding us up, so I had to do what had to be done. So we are up in the P9 now. Next up is Ricardo, but we also have to make sure we don't fall another position to Lance Stroll on the next DRS straight. But as you'll see, we get a warning for exceeding track limits. My tires aren't feeling too great right now, so as we come around these final 2 corners, Lance Stroll is just going to make a move up the inside. I have to leave him space. I don't know how much room or how much far side along he is, but we managed to hold the position. It was kind of like a haphazardly effort by Lance Stroll, but we run wide at the final corner. One of my many bad corners at this circuit, and now we're going to have to play defensive here to prevent Lance Stroll from overtaking us. We're going to take the racing line into turn 1 here, but Lance is going to have a little look at the inside. But going into turn 2, I don't think he's close enough to make a move, and he's not. So we keep P9 for another lap. We live to fight another day. Moving on toward the end of the lap, you can see that the AI just seemed to get a really good run toward down this third last corner on that back straight. Lance Stroll had a look, and it kind of threw me off. I did lock up a bit into the penultimate corner, and I run wide again at the final corner, which is going to give the AI behind me, all of them, a good run at me. But it looks like they had a bad run too, so Lance Stroll is still right behind me. It's going to have another look, but really nothing to look at as we manage to hold position again. We aren't really making any gains to Ricardo up front, unfortunately, even though he's on the soft tire too, and our Haas car should be theoretically faster than the Renault. As we make a mistake, run wide, it's going to invite Lance Stroll by. All we have to do is not make a mistake as we get our another track limits warning there. But all we had to do is not make a mistake, and we would have been able to hold position. But unfortunately, with my aging soft tires, that was a bit of a hard ask. Not that great to avoid making mistakes sometimes, but we are still in P9 at points position. We are heading in for a pit stop lap 8 here. The soft tires aren't going to last much longer than this. We are going onto the set of hards, and our tire wear is going to be pretty bad near the end, so hopefully we can get an undercut on some of the medium runners, because they're not going to pit till maybe like 5 or 6 laps from now, just due to the nature of their mediums lasting longer. They probably don't want to be on the softs, or I mean the hard tires rather, compared to the mediums, but hopefully we can make up some ground during this undercut phase of our tires, and then we can hopefully hold position after they all pit, and we hopefully get ahead of them. As we move on, you can see that Ricardo is the next person up. Daniel Kvyat's out of the session, and the safety car comes out at the worst possible time. If it came out if the safety car came out literally 5 corners earlier, I would have had basically a free pit stop and we could have jumped a lot of people, but now we are at risk of getting jumped by everybody on mediums, because just like this, even though their mediums could go a bit longer, they can pit now because the pit window is open for the hards. And as you look at the pit lane, a lot of people are coming in, a lot of midfield runners are pitting right now. So, but FIA released the constraints on the Delta, and I'm allowed to go full force. I didn't think about it at the time, but I could have turned my engine up to try to overtake these guys coming out of the pit lane, but it's going to be a close one. You can see that Sergio Perez is coming out. We just got to beat him to the end of the white line, and we barely managed to get our front wing in front of it before he does, and we managed to jump a few cars ahead of us. I think Lance Stroll kept going on because Sergio Perez pitted. We are stuck behind Ricciardo again, but we do jump our teammate. Or if we jump, we do jump him because it was kind of risky to get him under the safety car Delta. But luckily, if the FIA kept the Delta a little longer, we wouldn't have got all these positions back. But we're moving on to the safety car restart now. Hopefully we can make some early moves. Hopefully not get get stuck up behind some slower cars. You can see Ricciardo's in front. It was a bit difficult to overtake the Renault before, and unfortunately in front of him is a Williams of Robert Kubica. Hopefully we can clear the Williams pretty quickly, but they are pretty fast in a straight line with that Mercedes engine. We're going to fast forward a little bit, and you're going to see, since we couldn't get in front of Kubica here, the gap to the cars in front of him and us it's just going to grow massively. The Williams is still the slowest car in the grid by a far margin, and you can see that we've already lost probably like 2 or 3 seconds to the cars ahead of us. Ricciardo is about to make a move on Kubica, and Sergio Perez is behind me, is going to make a move. I have to take avoiding action to not hit Kubica, and we kind of launched Perez up in the air by colliding with his back tire. Luckily there was no damage on either of our cars, so we can both race on, but we lose the position unfortunately, and we are still stuck behind Kubica while Ricciardo is released in the free air here. Perez is going to make a move on Kubica, and hopefully I'm going to follow him through, but Roman Grosjean's going to come out of nowhere and dive up my inside. It's 3 wide going to turn 1. Kubica gets a great exit going around the outside, and Grosjean overtakes me. We're down the P16 here, and unfortunately we are both still stuck behind Kubica. He locks up, but Grosjean doesn't make anything of it, and we are still stuck behind the Williams. I'm going to try to go down the outside. Grosjean goes around the outside. He makes it move. The Williams is so slow. I just have to avoid him and take action around the outside. So that was an accidental overtake, but we do get into P14 right behind Roman Grosjean. I am massively faster than Grosjean. I don't know what's up. I try to make a move around the outside. Grosjean just cuts me off. I think he knows that I'm way faster than he is, and he doesn't want to be beaten by his teammate again. So he's really putting up a fight and not really playing the team game here, because while we're battling away, as I have to like put on the brakes to avoid hitting him, while we're battling, Ricciardo and the rest of the drivers in front of us are just pulling away. They're making a big gap to us, and it's not going to be great, so we have to get in front of Grosjean as fast as possible so we can hopefully not minimize the time that we lose. We're going to try to make a move around the outside here, braking pretty late, locking the front right tire, and we do get a solid exit, but it's a bit delayed on when I get the throttle down, allowing Grosjean to go around the outside. I brake early, not making the same mistake as I did earlier, and fortunately no damage occurred, but unfortunately we have to hold position down P15. Lap 15, we're almost about halfway through this race. We have to make a move on Grosjean here. With DRS enabled, we are going to make a move up the inside this time. Hopefully we can squeeze him out and hopefully not allow him to re-overtake us down the second straight here. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We have DRS again thanks to the single activation point for both those straights. And now our job is to catch up to the cars ahead of us and Ricardo and hopefully get ourselves into a points position. But it's going to be a lot harder said than done, or a lot easier said than done as I get it backwards. I don't know why I said harder, but jumping 3 laps ahead to lap 18, you can see we have pulled away from Grosjean quite a bit in just 2-3 laps here. And Lance Stroll's actually pitting, so like I said earlier, he didn't pit because Perez pitted under the safety car and he probably would have lost too much time, so that's us up another free position into the points paying positions. We get 1 point for P10, and hopefully we can catch up to Ricardo and get P9 and snag it from him. But the only place to do that is on the main straights with DRS, and our Haas engine is one of the fastest cars on the grid, engines on the grid. So, and the Renault is actually the second slowest in terms of engine development. So, hopefully we can just blow right by them. We have the engine powering as hard as it can go. We're going to try to make a move around the outside. It didn't work with Grosjean, but hopefully we can kind of squeeze Ricardo to the apex, and we get a much better exit than we did against Grosjean, and that's us up into P9. And now we should have to be looking ahead to Perez and Lucas Weber in the McLaren up ahead. They are quite a fair bit ahead. As you can see, jumping to lap 30, they are nearly 8 seconds ahead. As you heard from Jeff there, our tires are starting to wear out. I did use quite a bit of the tires to try to overtake Grosjean and Ricardo, which unfortunately meant that I am actually slowly falling back into Ricardo's hands and not going towards Perez and Weber up ahead. And as we head to onto the penultimate lap, heading onto the final lap, you can see that Ricardo has caught back up to us. And he's going to get one final attempt to re-overtake us for P9 going down the main straight. I kind of go a bit too tight on the apex of the final turn, and that's going to allow Ricardo to get DRS to close up. It looks like he's pretty far back now, but he is gaining rapidly. I do make a mistake here. I run wide, and that's going to allow Ricardo to try to go up my outside. I'm just going to hold defensive line. I kind of aggressively brake and squeeze him to the outside of the turn, which is going to allow us to hold P9, and that's where we're going to stay to the end of the race. Devin Butler wins his first race for Red Bull, but his fastest lap at the end of the race gets peaked by Valtteri Bottas, and then Lewis Hamilton. It's a fastest lap parade here. Lewis Hamilton keeps the fastest lap of the race, so he's going to get the extra point. Unfortunately for us, we couldn't do any better than P9 today. I feel like if we didn't get stuck behind Kubica, we could have made the overtake quicker, and we didn't get stuck behind Grosjean, maybe we could have caught up to them, and maybe we could have fought for a bit of more points than what we actually got. But points are points, so I'll take whatever I can get. P9.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
So as P9 in the end, we actually managed to lose positions in the race, which isn't a good look, but 2 points is not too bad in the end. I feel like our expectations have been a bit high after a few podiums and a 4th place finish in Austria, but realistically we should be achieving 7th, 8th, and 9th places, or at least points finish in general for where we are in the midfield. We're not going to have great races every time, but I don't know what's happening with Roman Grosjean, if I can talk. He hasn't been getting points at all, which is very disappointing, and that reflects in the standings. He only has 13 points. Very vulnerable looking in 11th place. Any points from the drivers below him can just drop him down the standings. We, on the other hand, are looking comfortable in 7th place. We have a nice 16-point lead, or 17-point lead to Sergio Perez behind us, and Lucas Weber's a bit far back, but you can never count him out, considering that he is a pretty quick driver. Going to the constructor standings, Haas has a pretty sizable lead over Racing Point, but as the R&D race continues to unfold, you never know what's going to happen. Racing Point could pull out a big upgrade and overtake us for best in the midfield, so we gotta get all the points we can while we are the best cars. So
good day today. Let's have your take on it. It was more like Dodgems than Formula 1 today, wasn't it? A big improvement for Devon over the last race. Is he hitting his form, or was he just lucky today? You had a pretty close finish with Lucas. What's it like racing a former teammate? You had a bit of contact today. Who was at fault there? Appreciate your time.
while it wasn't that great of a race, it still was pretty good. We managed to beat Grosjean in our rivalry. That'll be the 2nd win for us. But we do lose ground to Sergio Perez, which isn't too bad. It's still early days. We're only 1 point behind him. And like I mentioned earlier, our contract objective was to finish 6th place. And unfortunately, we don't get that. So that's going to be a big chunk of resource points that aren't going to be added to our banks. So that's basically a whole upgrade that we missed out on, and our interview questions have lost a bit of reputation with us. But as you can see, it's time to negotiate our contract here. The big thing for me was to get that race bonus and upgrade speed, doing all the major minors, but reducing them by 1 week. And then the expected qualifying position I put at 7. I probably, in retrospect, a bit too high. Race position 10, and
Okay, that proposal looks good. It seems all parties are happy with the deal, so it'll commence at the
and
next
somehow I managed to perfectly nail my value with my first contract offer after failing out the first 2, I believe. So fortunately, I get what I want. We're going to redevelop the power upgrade, the fuel consumption upgrade, which will go into effect next time at Spa. And hopefully this next upgrade, a weight reduction upgrade, which I'm going to do, a major, will not fail on me like the past 3 upgrades. So hopefully it all plays out and works for next time. But that's all I got for you guys this time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, and if you want to see more videos from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.